Hello and welcome back to Northwestern Models TV, and today I'm going to show you how to build the Dundas Models Hudson Tipper Wagon kit in 009. So let's crack open the pack and get started. Right, well, as always with any kit, you can't start it until you've opened the pack. So let's have a look and see what we've actually got in here. Well, we've got the sheet with the frets, with the parts on, and some wheels and some chain in there as well. So those are obviously the bits that we're going to assemble our wagon with. We also have a sheet, which seems to be quite a big sheet. A sheet of instructions as well, which also has some nice diagrams that you can see on there, which are obviously going to help us to put this all together. So I'm going to have a quick scan through the instructions, so I've got a vague idea of what I'm doing, and then we can crack on with the build. Right, well, having had a quick scan through the instructions, it seems fairly easy to assemble. So let's get the parts off a bit of card and make a start. Now the first instruction is to mount the supports for the body to the body. Now obviously we've got our main body here, which is obviously a hopper, because it's a hopper wagon, and the supports are the end supports. Now that is these U-shaped pieces here and here. Now we need to fit these. It says 1/8 from the bottom of the body, so I'm going to, once I've cut them out and tidied everything up, we'll need to measure up from each end, well, from the bottom up, to see about whereabouts it needs to actually go on. So let's start by extracting the parts from the fret. So, I can just about see them. They are quite small, and also see how I'm getting the main body out as well. Now, I think we're going to have to do a little bit of tidying up with these before we put them together. So let's put the other parts to one side. Now, because it's plastic, we can use just a needle file. It'll quickly get rid of any burrs from the mould and from where it's just been attached to the sprue. Like so. I'll put it that way so I can grab hold of it, and the ends supports, again, just tidy the ends up with those. Now they are quite fragile, so do be careful with them, because there's not much to them. Right, so we want to go 1/8 up from the bottom of our hopper. Now, most steel rules will have markings in 1/8 on them, so it's easy enough to sort of see whereabouts they're going to need to go, which is quite lucky. So to do that, I'm going to actually make a little mark with the craft knife so that I can see it for where it needs, where the bottom of it needs to be. I'm going to do that on each end before I glue them into place. It's about there, so I can get steel rule out of the way. Right, so now I've got those, we can now look at actually gluing the support pieces in place. Now the glue I'm going to use is the EMA plastic weld. You could also use Mech Pack or other plastic solvent type glue. Any is good, and Quite simply, you just need to position the end piece in place. And if you're lucky, you can perhaps hold it with a small pair of pliers, and that just disintegrated, didn't it? Little glue one. Now, I did say that these are exceptionally delicate. Indeed they are, because they have actually started to fall apart, which is a bit of a shame really, because I had hoped that they might have held together a bit better than that. I suppose that's really where you've just got to be careful when you're doing your cleaning up with them, with the parts, is that you do need to make sure that, particularly these small fragile pieces, you do take a little bit of care with. So this is where a very skilled modeller would probably be able to make some out of brass or something which should hold them in situ quite nicely. But hopefully you can see there now that we've got a nice U-shape support on that end. So we now need to do exactly the same at the other end, hopefully without it all falling apart again. So let's get the pieces the right way up first. And then add the glue. Now, luckily, I've been able to find all the bits that might have just broken off then. I've managed to get them to stick in place. So again, at that end we've now got a nice U shape. So we've got one at one end and one at the other. So we can now put that to one side for a moment while we then start looking at the actual chassis of the wagon. So the main chassis is this large oval piece in the middle. So first of all, we're going to need to obviously extract that from there. If we can, let's use the cutters. Those ones. And then go back through with the cloth knife. Free. That is now free. So that's our chassis. Right. What was it? First job is going to be to clean it up where we've just taken it out. It's important when you're making up wagon kits to, as you take any part, or any kit for that matter, as you take the parts out of the sprue, to clean it straight away, because that way it's done. You don't have to come back to it later when you've got the part half stuck to another piece, and then you struggle to get rid of some of the moulding marks. It's easy to do it as soon as you get it out of the sprue. Right. So, yep. Cement the body supports, which is parts 5 and 6, onto the wagon chassis. So 5 and 6 are these sort of pieces here, these sort of triangular pieces, and on the back of them there is an extra sort of triangular support. So if we turn it over so that support is pointing upright, it'll make it a bit easier to cut them from the sprue. Like so. And as I've just said, give them a quick tidy up, as it doesn't need much. Careful one in the middle there, and the same with that one. Right, now it's important you pay attention to the diagram here, because you may notice that there are little pins on the end of our wagon chassis. They need to be on the underside, so make sure that you've got it the right way up before you start sticking these bits on. And these bits go on the ends, not towards the ends, where the other sort of triangular bits of the chassis are. I'm sure this will all sort of make sense in a moment. So, to glue on each of those, and then drop it down into place, making sure it's as aligned as it can be, and you may want to add an extra bit of glue around it once you've got it in position, just to help support it, which I would recommend that you do. Of course, the good thing about this type of glue is that it dries very quickly, so you'll end up with a nice little towery piece on one end, then you do exactly the same for the other end. And again, just an extra bit of glue to help it stick on there. So it won't do it any harm. Right, so we can now leave that to one side for a mini moment. I'll have a look at the next job, which I believe is to cut the sole bar out. Now the sole bars are the last two pieces remaining in the fret, which are these two pieces here. So obviously there's one for each side. So let's cut those out. Now these seem like they might be a little bit flimsy at the moment, so probably quite delicate. Yep, there's no more parts on that. In the bin. Right, and again, as always, let's give it a quick tidy up. So that it all fits together nicely. That's one. the other. Right, now these soul bars will fit in to the bottom of the chassis, and there's a little cutout for them to go into. So I'm hoping that they're going to fit straight in there, which it looks like they do. Now it does say to fit one side at a time and then add the wheels. I think, well, we'll give it a go and see what happens. Now sort of wedge that one in. Probably time to get some glue on that, I'd say. Let's get some glue on it. Right, so let's the glue go off on that one side while I get the wheels out, because we're going to want the wheels, otherwise our wagon is not going to be rolling anywhere. So let's just read that again. Cement one soul bar onto the wagon chassis, then cement the remaining soul bar in place, and at the same time, before the cement sets, fit the wheels in place and check that the wheels turn freely. So what that means is we need to put the wheels in first, and then line the axle boxes up, if we can, perhaps. Having never done this, this might not be the correct way, but it might just work. Put them in there. Sort of hold it together a bit. And then add some glue to all that in place there. And then a bit at the other end. Put all that in place there. The wheels turn. Now, the thing is, you don't want the wheels to turn, or you don't want the wheels to be too loose in fit in there. You want them to have, you know, a bit of something in there so that they don't fall out when you pick the wagon up. You want the wheels to be in there, but so that they turn, but again not with too much resistance, and they're quite nice, those two, now, as we can see. See, it rolls along quite happily there. Right then, now it says here for the couplings, we recommend these wagons are formed into rakes with the fine chain that is provided. Cut a 5-link chain length of chain and fit over the locating pins on the underside of the wagon. Glue in place with some superglue. The standard type 009 coupling hook provided on the wagon chassis can be used to join onto other wagons fitted with 009 wire loops. So if you've got the BMO style couplings on a loco or something, it will fit over the little ridge on the end of the wagon, which you'll see if you have this kit. If not, you can use the little chain link with the pin on the underside there. Right, So it says now, before running this wagon we recommend that some ballast is loaded into the body, or that the body is cemented onto the end supports. And that basically is going to be the wagon finish. So all I'm going to do is actually just glue the wagon body to the chassis as so, because obviously this is one of our exhibition demonstration models when we're allowed to go back to exhibitions. So I'm going to glue this together so that it's stays together. Obviously, if you wanted, you could get away with it being loose, so you could model it in a tipped position perhaps, or full or empty, or however you wanted to. Well, that essentially is it made. And what I'll do with the chain, I will make up the chain links properly after I've got a coat of paint on it, because you do get a nice little bit of chain with it there. So that's how to put that wagon together. Now suppose you're thinking, does it run? How well does it run? Well, I've got my good old test bed. So as 009 basically runs on N gauge track, so I've got my N gauge and my 00. Now I use this for testing my own locos and wagon kits and things, and we can just see that it does indeed roll up and down the 9mm track quite happily. So there we go. So that's how to assemble the Hudson Tipper Wagon from Dundas Models in 009 gauge. Now obviously it needs a coat of paint now, and you could find these types of wagons were found everywhere on any narrow gauge system. They were very common all over the UK and indeed abroad, and from collieries to other like peat bogs, wherever there was a narrow gauge railway, inevitably there would be some Hudson Tippers, used for spoil or whatever use of railway decided to do with them. So you can paint it and weather it however you want, and it will not look out of place. It's a perfect wagon kit for any 009 layout. So anyway, I hope that you've enjoyed this little video, and if you have, don't forget to give us the good old thumbs up, and also make sure that you do indeed hit that subscribe button as well, because it really does help our little channel out. So until next time, happy modelling!